Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Gotti, and...
Jared Brandon as Jared Brandon.
I like that one.
That's a good one.
Let's just go with that.
I
Hey,
think
everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We're thrilled to death that you are listening to our show where we talk about gear and we talk to people who build gear and we learn about new gear and we talk to people who are moving our guitar community along in various ways.
Moving and shaking
through either musicianship, content creation, or what have you. And speaking of one of those things, we've got a very special guest on tonight. Very special guest. Who are you?
William John Bennett III.
Excellent. So, William John Bennett III, please tell our lovely audience out there and supporters what exactly you do and where people can see and hear what you do.
I guess at the heart of it, I would be referred to as a content creator. I make pedal demo videos mainly on Instagram. You can find me at William John Bennett III. Just a bunch of I's instead of the third if you're searching.
No the.
Frequently confused with William John Benetti.
Yes.
I get that a lot. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, show off all kinds of gear. Photography was kind of where I started with it, so there's a lot of gear photos on there, and then now there's kind of some funny stuff too. Just keep it fresh, and it's always something.
Yeah. And then you also have a YouTube channel, correct?
I do. A very neglected YouTube channel.
Where can people? Where do you go for that?
That would be. Well, that's a good question. I think it's the channel name is WJB3.
Yeah, WJB III.
WJB.
Right?
I think it might just be the number 3 on YouTube.
The number 3. Try both of those. You'll figure it out.
You'll get there. I originally it was the full thing, but I guess there was a Republican from the 90s named William John Bennett.
The third?
And not the third.
Oh.
But you got to dig through a lot of his videos to find any of my gear stuff.
Okay.
If you'd search the full thing. So.
Try to maybe don't do that. But and if you get stuck, just ask us or whatever. You'll figure it out. Yeah, so definitely when, as we're going through the show, hop on over to Instagram and you can see his happy smiling face, his happy bearded, glass bespectacled face, and a bunch of really great gear. And I think one thing that is interesting about the gear that you have is that it's accessible gear. So I think you're very relatable in that aspect. You're the common man's William John Bennett III. We are going to call him Steve for the rest of the show. No,
Steve from Canada.
We will honor that. Yeah, you're calling from Canada tonight. We got a lot of good Canadians up there making stuff and stuff.
Oh yes.
Canada.
Yeah, there's a few of us.
Yeah, it's like a whole country.
It's almost like 33 million, I think. At least 6 of them make demos.
Yeah, I know.
That was terrible. Todd.
I was making fun of myself for anyways, whatever.
Yes.
Hey, speaking of that, Demi Dash has got some new stuff coming out, I believe. Oh. Yeah, we had Demi Dash on before, and so make sure you go check out what he's up to. We should have him back on when he gets that sorted out.
We should go back through the list and see, because I'm sure there's people.
Oh, there definitely are. In fact,
updated.
we're gonna Mask is gonna be back on.
Oh.
Mask Electronics. We're gonna have our old pal Champion Lecky back on.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go through the entire thing, but there are a couple people that we keep getting respect. Hey, like, what's going on with this guy? Or we see. We keep a pretty close eyeball on what is happening. And so when there's a lot of movement on something, we say, hey, what's that seismographic thing happening over there? And we check it out. So that's coming up. And I guess that's kind of an announcement. Anything else? Tony, do you have anything?
I don't have any announcements.
Okay.
But I did have a very exciting musical week.
Nope, that's not part of the thing yet.
Oh.
Jared?
No announcements, guys.
Okay, your beautiful white insanely
Did I not talk
nice
about
guitar.
that?
Oh no, yeah, you did. I just want to make sure it made it home safe and sound.
I have it, and I've gotten it out a few times and cranked it up, and I love it.
Excellent. Okay.
Very nice.
Well, let's just shimmy on over to what's going on in our musical worlds this week. Tony,
now,
we're going to start with you.
Okay.
And then we're going to check out with our pal, William John Bennett III.
okay.
Okay?
I can do that.
Do it.
So this week, I said goodbye to a special guitar that I put back together, the 1965 Gibson Melody Maker Joan Jett /
Yeah.
Eric Carmen modification that I did and refinished
Why?
and all that. Well, I actually I sold it to a good friend of ours, Billy Spitfire.
Ah,
Yeah, so
he's a great dude.
he's a great dude, and I actually had a couple of other guitars that he would. I thought he'd be interested
He
in.
needs a lightweight guitar right now.
Well, he does. His back is bad,
Yeah.
and he said, "Well, what about that Joan Jett one?" I said, "Well," so we hemmed and hawed and everything else, and
Yeah.
and so he just fell in love with the guitar. He wrote back even after he bought it. Oh my God, this is the best thing I ever bought. I love it, blah. So hate to see him go, but happy to see him go to a good home.
That's-
and somebody that'll appreciate it.
Yeah, and he for sure will. He's a
Yeah.
good player.
But on the upside, in yet more book news, I just got in my copy of Bakersfield Guitars: The Illustrated History by Willy G. Mosley.
Aha.
And Willy is a contributor to Vintage Guitar Magazine. He's written several articles. He has about 14 books under his belt now, guitar books. Mm-hmm. This book is, I think it creates the definitive history of Mosrite guitars, along with other brands in California. And, there's been very, very little written about these guitars. They have, over the years, there's been, a couple of guitar books. They might show a couple of photos here and there. This one goes into such depth and detail, and it covers from the very beginning with Semi Mosley, what he was doing after he had several bad fortunes with the company, and then he shifted over to a brand called Gospel Guitars.
So is Willie his son or something?
No, there's no relation.
What?
Yeah, what are the odds, right?
That's
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but the really cool thing about it is, in addition to at least half the book, I'd say, being on Mosrite, he covers some other brands like Hallmark and Standell.
Encore.
And I mean, there's some brands that I'd maybe seen photos of or maybe heard of, but he actually covered things in very good detail. And the Hallmark brand was brought back to life by Bob Shade. I think he bought the brand name and all the company rights and everything and the designs and such. And Bob is making some really nice copies of Hallmark guitars. He might, like the Swept Wing.
It's kind of like a decent looking reverse V,
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
but not stupid looking.
Yeah. So I think go ahead.
Hallmark was doing that Batmobile one too, right? I remember that. That was
the
cool.
Joker, the Batmobile. There was the one with the Iron Cross. So there's some cool stuff, and he also makes a really fantastic Mosrite copy, replica, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. And Bob's a good guy. At some point, it might be nice to. I'm trying to see if he's interested in coming on board. He did have some involvement with this book, but it's really cool. And I just, if you're interested in some off the wall brands and maybe ones that you hadn't really heard a lot about especially California brands, this is a great book. Again, I don't have another book in my collection that goes into such depth and detail on these brands. So,
Wow.
Go buy it.
Very neat. Yeah, they got the Dragula one in there too from the Munsters.
Oh yes, yeah. There's so many cool things, and I mean, the thing about Moserites and some of these other brands is they were, quite honestly, just handmade guitars up to a point, and then with Moserite in the '60s, once the Ventures got involved, they had a little more working capital, so they had a pretty highly staffed factory building things, and there were some shakeups and different things along the way, but they're really cool guitars. I have a couple of Moserites in my collection, and they're unusual guitars. They're not the prettiest guitars or the best or most well-made guitars, but there's something about them. They're just really cool.
Yeah. Well, that's good sharing stuff there, homeboy.
That's what I'm here to do.
Much obliged. William John Bennett III, how about yourself?
It's actually a big week for me, music-wise. A lot of gear. I'm pretty excited. My birthday was over the weekend, so I decided to just... thank you.
Happy birthday!
Had a little, treat yourself moment.
Yeah.
And just, I cleared out some gear, and I ordered a Fender Jason Isbell Telecaster.
Oh, yeah.
That I've been, staring at all year. Decided to give that a go, see if I can shake my... snobby past and play a Mexican-built Fender.
Is that just a...
No, nothing wrong at all. It's been a while.
What color?
It's like a chocolate sunburst.
Ooh.
Yeah, double-bound telly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it looks nice. I'm pretty excited about it.
Very nice.
I just got today one of the Boss Tone Bender, that TB2.
Oh, yeah. Now, is that the Wazacraft one?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
So, it sounds great. I don't know that I would spend, $1,000 on reverb for it.
Yeah.
But I think if you were... Yeah, they're going big right now.
Yeah, they are.
I think if you're lucky enough to get one at retail, that's a great fuzz pedal. But it's one of those ones right now where I feel like in another year or two, that'll be Klon level stupid maybe or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think that's what people are banking on.
It seems like people are buying that stuff based just on futures. It might be worth money. I'll buy it now.
Yep. Front loading everything.
Yeah.
For some people, that's great, especially small builders when they come out and hey, we got this. You never know what's going to happen, what's going to blow up.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is pretty cool, and then I think that's also one of the more accessible things. And not everybody can afford a vintage Gibson or something like that. But, most of us can treat ourselves to a really special pedal or something like that without too much anguish.
Yeah, you can make it work a little easier.
Yeah. Let's see, Jared, about yourself.
The first thing I'll share is I got an update about my 1969 Martin D38. It's is that a D35? Yeah, it's a D35. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. And Dan Shin, he's kind of redoing all that, and he sent me pictures, and the Brazilian back looks just really splendid, and really, really glad they're making headway on that. They've had that for a long time. And also my 74 SG that I don't remember if it's 73 or 74. But he's like, when I first took it up there, I'm like, hey, I want a gaudy purple sparkle finish. He's like, you don't want that. I'll just fix it. I'm like, all right, whatever. And then he said, hey, what are we refin? The other day, he's like, what are we refinning that on? And I'm like, why don't you do a cherry? So I'm gonna do the cherry finish, and I might do.
That's another cherry one.
Yeah, but it's just going to be heritage cherry, not the dark maroon cherry that they did in the 70s. They added, in about 65, Gibson added a darkener to the cherry finish, and it darkened it up a little bit. And
that's when they started to go a lot more kind of maroonish, right?
Yes, exactly. So they put that maroon additive or whatever the heck and I really don't like that. I want to see more of the wood grain. So I said, you know what, repair it and then do it a Heritage Cherry like early 60s, and then I'm gonna put a white guard on it, a white bat wing guard on it.
Oh,
Not sure if
interesting.
I'm gonna do. Yeah, not sure if I'll do triple or gold, and I might go with nickel hardware too. Well, I have the original gold hardware, but I might do new nickel hardware. I don't know.
Wow.
Do a new look, not do any relicking or anything. Just have a nice, fresh, new look, brand new, finished out guitar. So I
Very
don't
cool.
know.
Sweet.
And the other thing, I'll talk about work a little bit. I work at Gibson for those of you who forgot or don't care. But I work at the headquarters, and I have a small lab in the corner of the office, in a nice little laboratory room, and we also have a few other tools in there for development. And one thing we have in there now today, as I was in there working, they brought in a bookshelf, and there's a lot of information that I'll have access to throughout all the years. It's just basic guitar information and data about all the guitars. I mean, and it goes back a long time, decades of it. So I was really thrown back. I'm like, I can't believe I'm just going to be able to come here anytime I want and just look up anything. But that doesn't mean I'm going to. So,
But you could.
So don't put in your requests. Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
I guess.
But
But I just I don't know. I just want to pinch myself because I was really excited about that, even though honestly I wouldn't spend time doing any of that unless I needed to know some information for work. But
Yeah.
it was really cool. It was still really, really awesome to see that. So
Very cool. Dig it, man.
how about you, Todd?
Well, let me tell you. Actually, I don't have to tell you, Tony. I had a absolutely delightful surprise for my particular week. Got a call from my good pal Tony across the table here. He said, "Hey, you want to go see Joe Bonamassa tonight?" And I said, "Yeah, that'd be pretty fantastic." Now, I will state right now, I am not a well versed in not only his music, but also I just am never been a quote unquote blues dude. And I think that's attributed to like the classic blues, like B.B. King and stuff. It's just not my bag of chips. I can't even explain how many conversations that start with, "What? How can you? Rock and roll is based on the blues. How can you say you like Led Zeppelin, but you don't like the blues? What's wrong with you?" Like, people freak out on me about that.
well, let me ask you: would you be able to say that Joe Bonamassa also does some kind of old school rhythm and blues, like Blues Brothers type of stuff?
Well, he, from what I understand, the tour that you guys went to, that was it's not the horns and all this stuff. This was more of like
This is a rock show.
a blues-based rock show. But he wasn't doing single note B.B. King Wheatley bits. It's
Right.
like that. It's just not.
It's all over the
doesn't excite
place.
me.
And he had a second guitarist.
He did have a second guitarist who was actually very talented. So the band that he was playing with was outstanding, and it made me. I remember my dad telling me a long time ago. Anytime that we'd hear Frank Sinatra or see anything about Frank Sinatra, it's a super dad thing. He's like, Frank Sinatra's only good because he had the best band in the world. He reminded me of that every time, like I had never heard it before. He still does it. And I was reminded of that. And I'm like, that right there is my dad's view on Frank Sinatra incarnate right there. The drummer had, I mean, his right foot was like a damn howitzer cannon. It it was shaking our shirts, and it looked like he wasn't even moving his arms, and the sound that was coming out of that. And then they had their bass player, Michael Rhodes, I believe, is
Michael
like
Rhodes.
the most recorded bass player in Nashville history. And
he's on everything.
yeah, and then the organist, it's like it was a
Reese Winans.
Reese Winans.
He who played
with
with
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yes.
I mean, it was a pretty star-studded cast up there. But the show was absolutely fantastic. I was truly blown away. That said, it wasn't because Joe was up there. He's obviously an incredible guitar player. He is very, very skilled at what he does.
A big gear nerd too.
He's a huge gear nerd. But as to the songs they were playing, it wasn't a grandstand for him to grandstand.
Right.
They were really, really well done, well written, well orchestrated songs. And that's what I was like, okay, I can get into this. I can absolutely get into this.
And what was very cool is Joe gave keyboard player time to do some solo-y stuff. He gave the other guitar player time to do solo-y stuff. I mean, I thought, to me, what he was able to do on stage and not just say, look at me, look at me, look at me. These guys, and it shows. And those guys, that was probably the most solid band in terms of sound and tightness that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
But what was better than going to see the show?
Well, now, one other thing about the actual show, and then we'll touch on the other thing, is that nobody's doing, it wasn't like an in-ear monitor where the amps are under the stage or in the back in isolation cabinets. No, these were, what he said, two Dumbles.
Two Marshalls.
Two Marshalls, four twins. Like, and they were all like dimed. It was.
I mean, he had plexi guards in front of all of them. But
sounds like enough goat piss to turn into gasoline, right?
Pretty much.
Yes, it was. You could feel it, and that's what was great. It really was special. So, Tony's been doing business with Joe for a long time, and so we had the absolute privilege of hanging out in his dressing room and talking to him. And Tony was talking to him, and I get in there. I'm like, wow, okay. Joe Bonamassa sitting right there playing his, was it 61 Strat?
60s slab board.
60 slab board. And his fingers are just. I was trying to keep track of what he was his hand. I was like, well, how has he got three hands? What the hell is going on here? And he was just talking to Tony, and his three hands were just going berserk on, just warming up, And I was like, this is pretty special. And, I didn't want to look like a total schmo, just stand there going, hi.
Well, but you asked some
yeah, so we
questions.
started talking to him about the, he had a little Black Star, this tiny little Black Star, like backpack kind of amp that had some, it had a chorus and a delay on it, I think.
Sounded like, yeah.
It's like just running on batteries. And I said, so is that what you usually choose to warm up? And he was saying, he's like, this is honestly about the volume that I play at home, which led into a great story about, a great discussion about, does that help you I asked him, does that help you kind of like hone in on the actual song rather than just going, yeah, I'm rocking out, and kind of like losing, getting too involved in that and not concentrating on what the song structure is and stuff, because that happens to me a lot. I can fall into that trap. And then we talked about hearing and all that business, and he explained to us about how he can get what is like the amount of tones between 6 and 10 on a Strat at a lower volume. He can write a whole album on.
Yeah.
It was really cool because we just started nerding out on the gear stuff, and then talking about the amps. That was really interesting, because we've talked about on the show before running multiple amps. And it's one thing to say, I'm going to run I'll run my new Marshall Origin and my Supro Black Magic, and I'm going to run those together to get the sound I want. But he's literally using his amps as a live EQ.
Yes.
Which, him explaining about that, like, I was worried that we were taking up his time. No, he went for it. He's like, well, here's what we're doing. Blah, 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 blah. Told us the whole dang story.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. He's using, I think his Marshalls are for the bass tones.
The bass tones.
His twins
were
the mids.
And then
the doubles are the highs.
Yeah.
Like, what? That's awesome.
So he's got a system that figured out there.
It was all like very scientific, and he was explaining how you can't ask a single speaker to deliver 100% of each of those tones. It's impossible for that to happen.
Or amp.
Or amp. And by amp, I just mean like whatever's coming out of that. Yeah. So if you are saying to the amp via the speaker, you have to have all the tones in exactly the way you want them. They're going to mash into each other. Something's going to under-deliver just because that's the nature of a speaker. So it's just really interesting talk, and it was just cool. We were just three dudes nerding out on guitar stuff. And then, that same guitar, he comes out and he's got his blue shark skin suit on, and his glasses, his hair slicks back, and he starts wailing on the guitar that he was noodling on. And I was like, that's cool. So that was a real treat. So thank you so much, Tony, and thanks to Joe, who's maybe listening.
Maybe.
Who knows? For spending time with us. It meant a lot. So there you go. We gave him a shirt. So
Nice.
I mean, heck, that'd be great.
He said he turned in his laundry, so he's probably going to wear it.
Yeah. Let's see that happen. All right. One of the great things that come out of Canada are our friends from Tour Gear Designs. William John Bennett III, are you familiar with Tour Gear Designs patch cables?
I'm about to be.
You better believe it. These are absolutely delightful pieces of equipment because they work, they are super affordable, and they are small enough to allow even more pedals on your board because they're not taking up all kinds of extra room with oversized jacks, ill-fitting jacks, or any of that. The jacks are literally the diameter of the actual jack itself. So the plug, that goes in, it's not taking up all kinds of extra room like a big giant pancake or something like that.
It's a great.
Yeah, you had me at they work, but that's a bonus.
It's a huge bonus. I mean, it really, really is.
It's a total space saver.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
It's a space saver.
I know we've
Great
all
stuff.
run into those situations where you're like, cool, I'm going to plug in my, what? Now I can't, those won't fit because there has to be I need my power plug in there. And sometimes people don't, they don't allow enough room on the pedals. And so I've run into that several times. This solves that. And another thing that's going to help solve the tremendous cost of most patch cables is that you can go over to tourgeardesigns.com and you can get yourself a whole myriad of sizes and shape configurations, S and C shape. S are great if you have a top mounted jack that needs to go into a side mounted jack, like a boutique pedal to a Boss pedal or something like that, or vice versa. Now, Tony.
Yes.
What is the code for that?
Well, you could go on your checkout and just type in the guitar knobs.
That's right. You're going to save 10% on your entire order. We always say your entire order because you're not going to just get one. It's just you're going to say, I'm going to stock up.
And we're here in the U.S., and I said, well, it's probably going to take a long time to get these things. Honest to God, I ordered them on a Saturday. They were there on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And
That's
so,
awesome.
and they're just a great outfit.
They really are. So we want to send you to tourgeardesigns.com, put in the guitar knobs in the coupon code, save yourself some money, and we want to thank them for sponsoring our 4 on the floor. Jared?
about a little bit of this?
That's a good one.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor.
All right, William John Bennett III, please tell us your 4 on the floor.
All right, so first up for me would be the Benson preamp pedal. I love this drive because it is, it's like playing an amp, like cranked. It just feels like a cranked amp. I already sound like an idiot.
Why? That pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, so I mean, I bought that. I was following them on Instagram, I don't know, I guess when it came out 2018 or so, and I couldn't afford one of their amps. And they released a pedal, and I thought, perfect. And at the time, I had a Princeton Reverb, and I was in an apartment, and I, had neighbors, so I couldn't really crank it up and get it to break up. So this pedal was fantastic because it just felt like I had that amp cranked. And that was the biggest thing. Still rolls off with the volume knob. So even now, like I've got a Benson amp I play through all the time, and I almost treat it like it's a drive channel. I run my whole board into that pedal.
Really?
Yeah. So I set my amp kind of clean-ish, about to break up, and then if I want crunch, I hit the preamp.
That's really interesting. I don't know that we've as many board configurations, and we've been doing 4 on the floor for going on 6 years now. About 5 years, because we didn't start that till later. That doesn't matter. Point is, we've talked about the pedals and configuration a lot, and I don't think we've heard anybody run their entire pedal chain into a preamp.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I just treat it like it's the front end of my amp.
That's pretty cool.
I love it.
I'm going to try that at home. I like that idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
See what happens.
It's
of course,
great,
you're
right?
going to have to loan me your Benson, but we'll work it out.
Yeah, we can make it happen.
So,
sorry.
Now, is that something that when you said it sounds like an amp that's being cranked, but then you got the amp and you have that cranked, how do you feel like they are actually really close? Or
yeah, it's definitely in the ballpark.
Cool.
Like I was pretty impressed. Like I said, they pair perfectly together, but it works great with other amps. Like I used it with the Princeton for a couple years. It's great if you want to just use it as a traditional overdrive too. Before I had that rig, I was running a Friedman and would just use it as a traditional like boost, and it sounded great there too.
Excellent.
Forgive my ignorance. Is the electrical system different in Canada than it is in the U.S.?
No.
Okay, so you're running 110, 120, whatever it is.
Yeah. All the same.
Okay, because
I guess it's a fair question.
I wasn't. No, I know because in some ways, Canada mirrors what the UK is doing, but it's good to know. Yeah, so you don't really have any issues then with transformers or having
No. Thank God.
Yeah.
It's nice and easy.
Very cool. How about number 2?
Number 2, I picked the Greer Amps Super Hornet.
I have that.
You have
I love it.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm a big like that octave fuzz, like that Fox Tone Machine circuit has been like one of my favorites for years. That's always like my kind of go-to lead sound. If I'm writing stuff, I always just want that nasty kind of like Queens of the Stone Age-y sort of thing.
I love Queens of the Stone Age. Oh my gosh.
Probably my favorite band. But
I'm also a Nick Greer fan. I mean,
he's a great dude.
Who's not?
Yeah, if you ever meet him in person or go to NAMM, try to find Nick. He's a wonderful gentleman to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we chat quite a bit. This was he was actually one of the first brands to ask me to make any content. So
excellent. What was the first thing you did with him?
He sent me a batch. So I got he sent me a Lightspeed, a Southland, and the Super Hornet.
I have the Southland and the Super Hornet.
Yeah, fantastic. And this one I fell in love with because I was using what did I have? I had a full tone Ultimate Octave, which is another great pedal, same circuit that it's based on. But the fuzz without the octave engaged didn't do a whole lot for me. Whereas the Super Hornet sounds badass either way.
It really does. It's a handsome pedal too.
It does look good. He nailed the design on it. Really sharp.
It feels like a van from the 70s.
It totally does.
The knobs, the paint, the paint scheme on it, totally.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, like super retro vibe. It's really cool.
Yeah. He did a great job on that. Let's see what he got. Number 3.
I've got my trusty Boss CE2.
Ooh, okay.
I don't know what year this one is, but it's made in Taiwan, and it's great. I picked that up far too cheap a few years back at a guitar shop I used to work at. And it's just like how when I hear chorus, that's the sound. Like this thing, double noon, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Every other pedal I've had, any chorus pedal I've ever had on the board, I end up just setting it like I would my CE2. So it got to a point where I was like, why do I even have other chorus pedals when I have the CE2? Let's just use it. It's great.
You just hit something that I think is kind of interesting. So many times with pedals, I think especially with old pedals, and you look and you're like, there's not that many knobs. This isn't going to be this good. Like some kind of weird math happens in your head. It's like, I'm not going to get all these great, amazing tones that I want because there's just not that many knobs. You look at a Maxon or something like that, or an old Boss, or an old DOD or MXR. One of those sort of like big ones that came out of there in Ibanez, those 5 brands, those early ones, they're really simple pedals.
Yep.
And the thing is, if you get the sound right out of the gate without having to mess with 14 different settings, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it comes down to
can
what you
roll with
like.
that.
Yeah.
Like I had a Walrus Julia for a while, and that's like a killer pedal. It can do a ton of stuff, lots of options. Like it does more than my CE2, but at the end of the day, when I want a chorus pedal, I was just dialing it in that way anyway. So
Yeah.
kind of recognizing what you need and what's going to do it.
Yep.
CE2 is
totally
perfect for me.
understand that. All right, what's last?
Last but not least, I've got the Chase Bliss CXM 1978.
Yes.
Which is there.
And did you hire somebody to run that when you were playing, or
It just does it itself. It's a robot.
That's a joke. Yeah.
Does everything except make breakfast.
Yeah. So let's dive into that, because I feel like that's one that came out, and I could be wrong, but I kind of got the vibe that people are like, yep, I can't afford that, so I'm not going to bother trying to talk about it or understand it or figure it out. Or people were on the complete opposite end, which were just like, give me that thing. I want the thing. I don't even care what the thing does. It moves. and they're like, it's like a cult status now.
Yeah, I definitely would agree. It's I get that a lot in like questions. And so, you paid for that thing? I was like, I did. When they first released it, or when I saw the like NAMM promos, I was like, oh, I gotta have that. I love that style of reverb, that like 80s Lexicon vibe. And then they put out the price point, and I was like, well, I'm never getting that reverb. like that'll be fun to watch. And then Maris
You're
put
all
out
out of kidneys to sell? Is that what happened?
yeah, exactly. Maris put out a demo for it, and I was like, oh man, damn it! Like I need to make this work.
Yeah.
So I had a couple other, like I had the Dark World, and I had a Mercury 7. So I just sold those, and I got pretty close to evening out, and I don't regret it, man. It sounds amazing. Like it's an amazing product, but it's a lot.
So for those that aren't as familiar with it, but just walk us through what's so amazing, and at bare minimum, what does it do?
So at its heart, it's based on your 80s Lexicon reverb units, like studio reverbs. I'm going to blank. I can't remember the actual model number of the Lexicon they're going after. But so you've got a digital room, a plate, and a hall reverb on there. And the total control them is wild. Like you don't just have your standard decay time that you would on a reverb pedal. You actually set your decay based on frequency. So you have a slider for the bass frequencies in that reverb tank, the mids, the treble. It's really intense to try, and took a bit of time to learn how it all interacts. But it's just so nice. Like it just feels like I'm giving my tone this hug. Like it's just cozy. And, it'll do the kind of, Blade Runner style stuff if you want to get crazy with it. But just as a tool, it's awesome for recording. And then, it's like 30 presets. The knob, like the faders move, which is obviously worth, $600 of the $700 or whatever. Whereas
it moves, man.
It moves. Whoa.
I didn't even touch it.
And it's like those two guys, like Maris and Chase Bliss, are just like probably on top when it comes to the digital stuff. And the collaborations was really cool to see.
Yeah, it is a gorgeous pedal. And obviously with those brands, that there's no cost spared in making sure that every aspect of that is going to be absolute tippy top.
Yeah, realistically, part of it too is if I didn't say it was essential, I'd feel like an idiot for spending that much on it. So
so it's essential.
I gotta have it. That's what I tell myself every time.
Yes, it's a good thing I have that, or else my day would just.
When I first got it, I plugged it in next to my Flint, and I was like, oh. I'm kind of an idiot. Flint sounds pretty good. Yeah. But no, it is great. It's a really nice sounding reverb. I regret nothing.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You just mentioned the most mentioned pedal we've ever had in all 5 years, which is the Flint. So somehow you worked the Flint in.
Oh, it's classic. That's a great pedal.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's pretty cool, man. We appreciate you doing that and sharing your four on the floor. I think especially coming from people who are doing demos and creating content and stuff that are getting a little bit more access to a lot more gear. It's always very exciting and fascinating to find out what are the things that you are gravitating to.
Yeah, what are these guys actually using?
Yeah. So speaking of that. One of the reasons that you are on the show, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, is that you are out there creating awesome content for all of us guitar enthusiasts to partake in. And we appreciate you doing that.
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed it a lot. It's been a lot of fun this year.
Yeah, I think you is it fair to say I feel like you're hitting a stride. You're we're seeing a lot of personality come out in these things.
Yeah, I think that's kind of been my whole goal with it, is to still try and be relatable.
Yeah. And
you get an idea of who I am, kind of what I'm into, which is kind of important to me. Like there's a lot of accounts where you just see something where I have no idea who's doing what or who I'm connected with.
Yes.
So that to me was a big thing I wanted to make happen.
I appreciate that because I do feel like that is it's cool to get the information, but when you're able to connect with somebody, I feel like you're looking at me while you're talking because your thing is up right now, your Instagram. It's just nice when you can make a connection with somebody else. And as you mentioned, you're doing relatable things. You're talking about relatable things. I think one of the newer thing that's up there is you're talking about gear that's out of your budget. Hey, that's relatable.
Yeah.
And then so let's back up 1 second. Oh, first of all, wait a minute. Holy mackerel! Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah.
You got a new baby coming.
I do.
That's so exciting. I'm a dad of 3, so I'm just
going
super
out the
excited
window.
about that. That's great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited too.
Is this number 1 or?
This is number 1, yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So I'm in that perfect blend between excited and terrified.
That is a good place to be. It's the best, man. Absolutely the best thing in the whole wide world. So, and that is, did I see May of 22?
Yeah, May 2022.
Okay, all right. Well, good for
John
you,
Bennett
man.
the 4th. No.
Yes, you better get all the guitars and stuff right now because that's going away for.
And
a
I don't know
while.
the gender yet, so I'm committed to that name, boy or girl.
Yeah. They're gonna think you're like they're a Star Wars droid or something. It's like, what's a WJB for? So let's see here. You had to start somewhere, and I know that one of the things that I locked on to that you mentioned was, I thought I was going to be my dreams of being a professional musician. ... And why don't you share that sort of thought? What made you share that?
Yeah, that one just came across as something I thought a lot of people would probably relate with. And it's true, right? I mean, I've been playing in bands since I was like 15 years old, and everyone thinks they're going to be the best band in the world. And I did that for a long time. And in my 20s, I was on a band with a record deal, and they were spending lots of cash on us, and we put together this great record, and then it just got buried, and band drama ensued, and life carried on. Mm-hmm. And now I make Instagram videos.
Well, that happens, and it happens to probably the overwhelming majority of those of us who care about this stuff. So that kind of relatableness is what a lot of your content's about. But you're also you got some nice chops, man. I like the way that you play, because it isn't grandstanding the wheedly bits and stuff, and you're playing relatable things. So we can hear what it's doing.
Yeah, that's also because I can't grandstand.
Just go with me on this. Just go with me.
I'll try to be relatable. That's about as good as I can play. So that's what you get.
Yeah. So you're holding back so that you don't alienate your audience, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's. I put away that third hand you were talking about with Joe there. I just leave that in the back pocket.
Yeah. Hey, so what's your number one guitar that you go to? Like, if you got to pull one of them out there, and then we'll get into some of the other ones that you've got.
Yeah, easy right away. I have a Frank Brothers signature model. Not in the sense that it's a William John Bennett guitar. It's their model is called Signature, and that is my absolute favorite guitar. It's on like probably 90% of any of the demos. Anytime I'm down here playing guitar, that's the first thing I'm picking up. I love it.
So what do you like best about it? The weight, the sound,
It's a bit of everything. I think a lot of it's in my head because I was so involved with, like, they're in Toronto, so I'm only about an hour away. So I got to go in and pick every piece of wood on that build.
Oh.
It was totally custom. I love the neck on it. We went with like a really heavy, like a thick, soft V. Mm-hmm. Rounds out my favorite neck in the guitar rack. Pickups are great. We did Lawler El Rayos.
What's the El Rayo?
El Rayo is their, what do they call it? The humbucker for guys who like single coils.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is it underwind, I think? Low wind?
Yeah, kind of underwound. Like, I'm bad with some fine spec stuff because I don't pay a lot of attention to that, so I don't know like magnets and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know who Lawler is.
Yeah, I knew that much.
There you go.
Thanks.
But it
Thanks,
just
Jared.
sounds great. It's very unique. I wanted something, I've got a couple of Gibson guitars, so I didn't want to just get like, PAFs or something like that. I wanted something unique that was going to make that guitar stick out.
Yep.
And those pickups just sound great with everything. It's got like kind of that bite from a humbucker, but it just still jangles. It's awesome.
That's really cool. I just did the same thing with my new guitar in that I put in a TV Jones Powertron. It's a single pickup.
Who told you about that?
Tony did. I was saying, much as you were just talking about, I was like, I want something a little bit different, but it needs to be in this realm.
Yeah, I mean, you want something that's going to give you a reason to pick it up, right?
Yep. And they look cool too. So.
Oh yeah.
And I've got all of my other guitars. They've got Jared's pickups in there, which sound remarkable.
They're now Zach's.
Yeah. Well, the Brandon Whalen pickups dynasty. So let's see. So that's your number one. Now you mentioned a couple other guitars. What else are you playing?
My other one that gets probably the most playtime after the Frank, I've got a Gibson ES 355 that was like a bucket listing. It's a 1966. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that gets a lot of playtime. That's a guitar I wanted forever.
Now, the 55 is different from the 35 in what way?
Just the bling. Same body styles, everything else. It's just, multiply binding, block inlays, the split diamond headstock, ebony board.
Nice.
Just the fancy, the Cadillac version, if you would.
Yeah. Yeah, does the 355 have the Veritone on it?
Some of them do, yeah. Mine does.
Okay. I like that little bit. Noel Gallagher's got one of those, and I'm a big
that was
Oasis
one of
fan.
Same here. I think that's the reason I wanted one. That was always in my brain as like, I need that guitar.
Yeah, so we can have a whole nother conversation about all that stuff at another date. Actually, one of our supporters, Michio Murakishi, is equal nerd about that stuff.
Oh yeah,
and so yeah, we get to nerd out on the side with that. So
I hunted down the strap that he uses.
Really,
I did. I was like, oh, that looks so good. Like when I see pictures of him playing it, like I want to look that cool.
yeah. The skinny straps are kind of they're kind of weird.
Yeah, a little skinny strap with a cool buckle. I was like, let's do it. I found the guy online and ordered it. It's awesome.
That's killer. So you've got you mentioned your Benson that you're playing. Is that your main amp, or did that replace something?
Intentionally, it wasn't bought to replace anything, but I love it so much that I've sold everything else since. So it's my only amp right now.
Okay. Now, we had Frank Brothers on, and that's episode 100, in case anybody wants to listen to that.
I will be going back.
Good. And we also had Benson on, probably right around that time. I got to check. I just remember Frank Brothers was the 100th episode, because that was a big one.
Yep.
Now, Benson, actually, Bonamassa had a Benson Leslie speaker up on stage.
Yeah. That was a very...
I keep joking that's like the test of your guitar street credits. If Benson makes you a Leslie, you're pretty cool.
that was an extremely limited run.
Yeah, I don't even think it's like a run. Like he's just building them for like people he likes. Like I think Joe's got one in Solis. As far as I know, that's it.
Wow. Now, what do you love so much about which model do you have, and what do you love so much about it?
I have a Monarch Reverb, like the combo, and it's just kind of the best of both worlds for me. I had, I guess, some backstory. Before that amp, I had a 62 Princeton, little brownie, and I loved the sound of that, but I wanted a reverb. So I ended up selling that to Fender. I guess they were doing some, I think it was for research for that Chris Stapleton model. They were buying up old brownies. Yeah, so I sold that to them. And then I had a 66 Princeton Reverb, which was great. But this Benson is like kind of right in between. It's got that clean tone, but the mids are pushed, so it's more that early Fender Deluxe kind of style as opposed to the black panel stuff, the scoop mid thing. With gorgeous reverb built in, and that's what really drew me in. And it's all point to point, and the thing that's right away I noticed.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And the thing that drew me right away is it's so direct. Like you hit a note, it feels like you're just right plugged into the speaker. Like
that's cool.
It's instant. Kind of scares me a bit because it took a little adjustment to, make sure you don't suck.
Yeah. So, I mean, in that, is it a little bit, I don't want to say less forgiving, like it's going to be harsh sounding or difficult to play, but there are certain amps and tones that when you play, I kind of felt that actually from the Marshall. I was like, whoa, this is really, I'm right there. I can't hide behind anything.
I had that feeling when I first got it. Like it was definitely okay, you better work on the chops.
Yeah. Better get that third hand move.
Yeah,
that's really cool. By the way, Benson was episode 59. He was
long ago.
Somehow he said, "Yeah, sure, I'll waste my time with you clowns." 59 episodes in.
Wow.
Sheesh. I know it doesn't seem like that far, does it?
No, it does
man,
not.
Oh man. So one of the things that we were discussing earlier was, from your perspective as someone who is creating content, you're being exposed to different kinds of equipment that you might not have chosen to play, maybe, possibly.
Yeah.
You've got exposure to things that you might not be able to normally get, or is out of one's range, as you mentioned on here. What when you're considering these things and you're playing, how much of the content that you're putting out, when you're doing this, do you think about those things? Does it come through? Do you share that with everybody? Like walk people through that a little bit.
My main thing with like the videos I make is that I don't really want to give opinions. I know there's like a whole movement that like demo guys are shills and you're, given scripts and, your opinions are paid and all that kind of stuff. So I just make videos with playing. Like, if you can hear it and hear what it does, if you like it, that's it. There's
here's
no
the thing.
Yeah, exactly. And my whole, I guess my thing is this like 3 sounds, I call it, where I just write a track around 3 sounds I like from a pedal. And, there's no, is it good? Is it bad? It's just, here it is. Do you like it? And I don't do any extra editing to any stuff. It's pretty raw. And that's like, I just try and keep it simple.
What are you using to record that?
Everything I'm using that Universal Audio aux box.
Oh, okay.
Direct out of the Benson. It sounds great.
That's killer.
It's nice for the workflow because I can have like, my drum tracks blasting in the room and I'm not worried about mic bleeds and stuff like that. Or, if I want to do it at 2 a.m, I can do it with headphones.
That's great. So that's super smart. So in consideration for some of the things, I'm sure you've first thing you did was probably go through your existing collection of things. What are you considering as new gear comes your way, or you're requesting it?
A lot of it just comes down to like what I want to play it. Like I'm a gearhead. I always have been. Like I didn't get my driver's license till I was 19 because I would rather spend $120 for the road test on pedals. I just took the bus everywhere, like mooched rides from my now wife. So it's always just been about gear. So now it's if I am reaching out to a company, it's because they make something that I really want to try.
Yep.
And if companies are reaching out to me, it's there's been a couple that hasn't kind of said no, thank you. But most of the stuff has been great. Like I just love gear.
Yeah. I mean, and why not? If you're giving it a try, it's kind of like sushi,
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what that is. I shouldn't eat it. No, it might actually be the best tasting thing you've ever had.
And that's the thing. And there's been instances where before I was doing the content stuff with pedals, I would buy a lot, but I was also far more choosy.
Yeah.
And I'd have to try and justify stuff. Like, so one that sticks out to me is that Greer Lightspeed. Mm-hmm. I've heard about it for years. Always wanted to try it. But I've got so many other, light overdrives. I was like, I don't need to spend more money. I don't know. I just never bothered.
Yep.
And then started chatting with Nick, and he goes, I'll send you some stuff to try out. And I remember live streaming it. And the minute I turned that pedal on, I was like, like I should have had this years ago. Mm-hmm. Like, this is amazing. So those kind of moments are what I really enjoy, just getting stuff that I might not have picked up otherwise and just getting blown away by stuff.
I dig it. I can respect that. And I found that, at least with the builders that we've had on the show, they're really responsive to, they want people to play the stuff.
Yeah.
So, having somebody say, yeah, please do your thing with this, because not only do I want exposure, but everybody has echoed that how great it feels when they see somebody have a great experience with their gear.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. And like that's the message I've got from guys. We put up a video, and you got Nick or whoever's running the brand reaching out, going, "Yeah, that's awesome. Like, thanks so much." I think they just like seeing what people do with their stuff.
Yeah, for sure. What are some of the things that you favor as far as gear and content that you're trying to put out for everybody?
I'm a big fuzz geek. I love fuzz pedals. Anytime a fuzz comes up, I'm absolutely game for it. Like, no question.
Aside from the Waza, what are a couple standouts for you right now?
Ones I love. So Super Hornet we talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. Love that. Thorpe, the Field Marshal. Mm-hmm. That one is a lot of fun. That's based on like the old Love Tone. Big Cheese? Yeah, Big Cheese. Mm-hmm. And that is like just a monster sounding fuzz. It's nasty. What else have I got this year? Yeah, there's been a few.
Fuzz is one of those things. Like Tony has gone on record. He's not a really big fuzz guy. When do you tend to favor the tones that are like completely just maxed, just a wall of fuzz, or do you play sort of the lower end of? What you favor?
I find I go for that all out crazy right away.
Yeah,
but I have noticed I tend to roll back a little bit more than I used to. I always crank it, just see what it does, how crazy I can get, and then somewhere in the middle ground. But I try and show off, like anytime I'm doing a fuzz, I want to just show it getting as crazy as it can.
When you're setting up a fuzz, this is something that I consider with like the little demos that I do, is that it's difficult sometimes to say what goes with this. Aside from, a really cool delay or some big wet, modular effect. Do you like stacking it? Have you found success in stacking things with fuzzes?
Some of them, like it really depends on what it is. Like I've got a couple that just do not like to play well with anything. And those are just what they are. But there's a few now like that are a little more forgiving with signal chain. So like that, the newer Boss Wazza one they just released, that FZ1, that plays great anywhere. Like that sounds really nice. I've got the Benson Boost, running those two together, like stacked, sounds great. Same with the Lightspeed. What's the other one the Benson Fuzz as well. That thing he like tricked out to work with anything. The other one I just picked up too, Fjord Fuzz. If you guys have seen those, like the copper top.
Oh, the Berserk.
Yeah. I just did a video with that pedal this week. And it's great. He's designed that with like an impedance switch, so that thing was stacking really nicely with a couple pedals I had on the desk.
So tell us about the impedance switch. Like what does that do for you?
So that's if you're running, or if you want to run any sort of buffer in front or even a wah pedal, he's got like a second gain stage built into the front end of that thing that, depending how you've set the trim pot inside, will either just sound the same, but now it's impedance matched, so it won't get weird with anything in front of it. Or you can go the opposite and crank that thing, and now it's almost like goes from like a fuzz face to a tone bender. So it's pretty adjustable, which is cool. That's
cool. And we've covered this a couple times on the show, but would you mind giving at least your explanation on why that might be important for any either new listeners or newer guitar players that haven't experienced or are experienced actually? Like, why does my fuzz pedal sound so weird up front?
Yeah, I could try. Like I said, some of the tech stuff I'll probably sound like an idiot, but we'll give it our best shot.
Sure.
For me, the biggest thing is just how it reacts with other pedals. Like having a wah pedal in front of it is going to give you a different sound than after, and depending how your rig's set up, you're going to want one or the other. It's going to be the difference between like kind of a classic rock fuzz solo versus like a Tom Morello Bulls on Parade, like with that heavy filter.
Right.
So you want that flexibility. Sometimes you want it in front, and that's the tone you're going for. So if you got a tool on the pedal that's going to help it work,
yeah,
perfect.
Volume pedals tend to affect those, and sometimes tuners and stuff. So
yeah, I've had a couple weird
that
ones.
Way.
They are. I had a Dan drive earlier in the year, and even just plugging in a buffer later in the chain totally changed the sound. And I'd never had that before. That really threw me off. Like anytime I turned on my delay pedal, the whole thing changed. It was crazy.
Wow.
It's like night and day.
Which did you like? It wasn't good, it sounds like.
It wasn't good or bad. It was just that much different. Like that's not the sound I would expect kicking on a delay pedal with my fuzz. It just became a whole nother thing.
Yeah. So in your content that you're creating, what are some of the things that you are going to be, are you kind of holding steady on what you're doing? Are you trying to do more and different things? Where are you going with this content thing you're doing?
I'd like to do a little more like the YouTube side of things. I'd like to spend some more time on, like some longer form videos. it's just been tough to find the time, with like real life and trying to keep up on the Instagram side of things.
Yeah.
But I've got a friend of mine lent me the big Benson Chimera stack. Mm-hmm. So that's my, I'm chipping away at a nice little Monarch Chimera video. I might get into some kind of long form demo stuff, but I'm hesitant because everyone else just does it so well, and everyone's got their own little niche. I don't think I'm going to say anything that someone else hasn't or has done better, but we might give it the old college try.
Well, it's incredibly time consuming. The video aspect of things is bananas.
Yeah, it last year my page was just photos, and it was great because I could get to my weekend and I could take 2 weeks worth of photos on a Saturday afternoon, and I could just chill for 2 weeks. And then now with video and writing songs and recording, it's like I'm lucky to get a pedal done on a Saturday.
Yeah,
and then still have to come up with stuff for the other 6 days of the week.
Yeah,
so
I
definitely
totally understand that.
Yeah, it's definitely takes a bit of a toll.
I have so much respect for the guys that are, we mentioned Brett Kingman earlier. It's like colossal amounts of respect to people like him and Ronquillo and all these other guys that are making these. Oh yeah, like proper YouTube demo things that they're coming up with backing tracks and all this stuff. I mean, for the what we do, which is 1 minute wonder, it's literally a minute long. But that you have to go, well, what song is this pedal or what riff is this pedal gonna render to me right now? And that can take who knows how long. It's like you just have to.
Yeah, that's days sometimes. I've sat for a whole Saturday, Sunday with one pedal and just not had something come to mind. And they're like, oh, great, I just wasted a whole weekend.
Yeah, and it can be super duper frustrating. It's not unlike songwriting and stuff where you're just like, I know there's something here. I can't seem to get to it the right way. Yeah. And then all the editing and everything. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you're seeing these demos that are being made, either by our friend that we're talking to right now, or any of the other superb people out there that are doing it, if you like it, take the time to comment on what you're seeing. A like is great, but honestly, it does make a big difference when we put out, when we take the time to do that, and you just get a little comment back. It means a lot. It really does, because you're making a connection with somebody.
Yeah, I require validation. I'm a human. Love me.
So, Love me. William John Bennett III, who are some of your favorite guitar players?
Great question, Tony.
Oh, guitar players. Queens of Stone Age, I said earlier, is one of my favorite bands. Like Josh Homme, Troy Van Leeuwen, like those guys really influence how I like to stack parts and think about riffs and things like that. John Frusciante, Chili Peppers, that was one of my, when I was younger, going from being a Nirvana fan to you can play more than power chords. Okay, that's the guy that showed me there was more. And now, Jason Isbell, I'm a huge fan of his. His playing's just insane. Trying to think off the top of my head if I'm sure I'm missing lots of influential people, but
you hit a couple of top ones there. That's for sure.
Yeah. What about influences beyond did you have any when you were coming up in your teens? Who was influencing you there?
Oh yeah, teens Nirvana was the first one that was this is music. This is what I'm all about. That was
finally somebody understands me.
You didn't like the hair metal before that?
That was a little before my time, so it wasn't. I think even really the Nirvana thing was before my time too, but it just hit.
I remember when that hit. It changed the music that was played. It was overnight. It was unbelievable. But I've got even a more interesting question to ask.
All right.
Jared segues. I'm going to do a show that just has Jared segues in it. That's good.
I am all ears with that. I'll listen to myself segues. So, what's your dream guitar? So, what guitar out there would you love someone to send you to demo? Like, if it's
To have.
unattainable or attainable, what's your dream guitar to have?
Well, I'm lucky and fortunate enough to have two of them with that 355 and the Frank Brothers. Those were two like bucket list item guitars for me.
Nice.
The other one that I would love, like a 63, 64 Jazzmaster.
Nice.
I want it beat to shit, sunburst, and I want it so bad. And I had to, when I bought my Gibson, the shop had a 1960 Jazzmaster in, and another store had a 63, and I just sat there like, what do I do? There's no way I could make both.
Yeah.
And I went with the Gibson. I don't regret it because I have a 62 reissue Jazzmaster that's great, but I still want like that beat up sunburst. One day.
You'll have it.
Boom. Jared's
Jared's sending you one. Send him your shipping info.
Jared is willing it
Yeah,
to you.
I mean, maybe not this decade, but I mean, you'll get one.
It's fine. I can enjoy it later.
And you're having a baby next year, maybe a couple decades.
Really
Yeah,
pulled the rug out from him on that one.
Yeah, it's not happening anytime soon.
But you will get it. You will get it.
Yeah.
One day, the right one will come up and the timing will be right, and I'll make something happen.
Exactly.
We had a guest on really early. He was a friend of mine that he was he still alive. I'm talking about him like he's in the past, but he's kind of retired. He was a
Pour one out.
pretty. He was like a jazz teacher, and he played in all kinds of places around here, and he was a jazz musician. And he had Tony. Do you remember the? I want to say it was 63 Jazzmaster. I feel like.
It was the 60s. I know
60,
that,
yeah, it was really early, really early. And it was the white.
Well, for jazz masters, that's not really early.
No, but it was over this. It was over the sunburst.
Oh,
cool.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. So
And he had the original back plastic buckle guard on it.
yep.
Oh, okay,
have
cool.
you seen those before?
I have, yeah.
I mean, he's owned it the entire time. He showed the price tag. I believe he still had in the case. I mean, wow,
It's crazy. I love it.
yeah, that was pretty special handling that thing. It was really neat. Well, hey man, this has been a super good time talking with you. For your channel and what you're doing, is there anything you'd like to share as we wind up the interview about what you're doing and how you want to relate to everybody else?
I think right now the plan is to just keep doing what I'm doing. I've got a lot of stuff lined up for the next probably couple months worth from the sounds of it. New releases, gear that's been out for a while, but just kind of fresh looks at it. There's always going to be something. I try and have a new video once or twice a week. Like there's always something, which has been great.
Right on. Looking forward to it. It's another great way to see the gear that we're all interested in portrayed in a different way. And as many players and pedals and guitars and amps that are out there, we want to see and hear it all. So thank you for doing
Absolutely.
what you're doing, man.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on, boys. It's been
We're
fun
going
to try and be interesting.
we're going to pile in the El Camino. You can ride in the back, and we're going to take a quick ride and pull up at Jared's little log cabin down there in Tennessee, and hope he doesn't give us both barrels as we do. But
As long as we have shakes.
yes, as long as we have shakes and donuts and
Too late. They close at 8 o'clock.
Jared, what you got going on over there?
Well, climb on into the El Camino and join me for this Would You Rather. Then we're going to head down to Mexico with Ricardo Higareda. Is that how
That's
you say
correct.
Igareda.
Igareda.
it? Higareda.
He's not Italian.
Right.
Igareda.
Yeah.
So, Ricardo, thank you very much for sending this in. Say you're on a trip to Mexico
We're on a trip to Mexico.
and you're walking down the street on your way to a little jam at a local cantina, and then, boom!
Ouch.
Beat up taxi clips your case and smashes the neck on your acoustic you brought along. You're screwed. It's all ruined and stuff. Luckily, there is a taco stand nearby.
Yes,
enjoying
naturally.
As you're
That's always
enjoying
good.
a plate full of delicious local tacos, you realize there is a music shop across the street, and fortunately, they have 2 guitars to choose from. Now, by the way, the taco stand, they put cilantro on the tacos,
Yeah.
and it's really good. So,
And onion.
would you rather play a vintage, handmade, it's a little crude, but and it's an acoustic guitar made from solid woods from Mexico, or a modern, mass-produced plywood acoustic guitar imported from a cheap place? The reason behind
China.
the question
You can say
is
China.
that,
It's fine.
well, the reason behind this question is that Mexico has a city that is known for making excellent, yet a little crude acoustic guitars. But it sounds like it doesn't matter because of the wood. This has changed due to the rising costs, and Mexico has begun to import a massive amount of Chinese-made acoustics.
That was brought in to us by Ricardo Igareda, and yeah, I think he actually spends a lot of time down there, from what I understand from little that we've talked. So he's coming from experience as far as how that market is changing, and that is one of the things that, when you have a regionally crafted thing that is, historically you can rely on, and those musicians have been playing for so long, and you can go down there and get one made from a special, luthier down there that they've been doing it in their family for 100 years or whatever. It sounds like that's kind of going the way of the dodo a little bit. So, so it's a good question. Would you rather play the
crudely made Mexican wood? Mm-hmm. But it's crudely. He said it's crude, so there's goods and bads about both items.
Yes, that's true.
Crudely made real Mexican wood guitar, or the plywood cheap Chinese version that he explains.
Yes. All right.
That probably looks a little better visually.
Well, or different.
Yeah.
Tony, we're going to hear from him first, and then we're going to check in with Jared, and then around the horn to William John Bennett III and myself. Okay, Tony, go.
Well, I would say Chinese-made instruments have come a long way in the last probably 5 or 10 years, maybe.
Agreed.
I mean,
And geographically.
But cross many oceans.
Yes.
But I would say in this instance, since I'm going to be in Mexico and I'm near a town that's known for its Mexican instruments, even though it's maybe a little crude, but it's made from solid wood and it was made down there. I'm going to go with the Mexican-made instrument because they're, sometimes they may not be as pretty as the other one, but
Or maybe it's prettier.
well, it may sound. I mean, to me, it's
Mother of
it's
pearl
about
inlay all over the place and everything.
anyhow. So I think that's the direction. As long as it plays well and sounds good, I don't really care what it looks like. Mm-hmm. So I'm going with the Mexican-made domestic instrument rather than the cheap import.
All right. Jared?
Definitely 100% the Mexican-made, Mexican wood, even if it's a little crude. I have real-life experience working along the side of some Mexican craftsmen, and they take a lot of pride in their work. So yeah, I'd never shy away from what our neighbors down south make. So I'm definitely going to go with the Mexican made.
And I think you raise a good point there, Jared, because a handcrafted instrument may not always be perfect, but they're not using CNC equipment. and stamping these things out, 1,000 at a time. It's that
Exactly.
one being made one at a time, made instrument.
William John Bennett III. Should we even bother asking? Tell us what you would do.
I'm not going to go against the grain here.
Smart.
I mean,
move.
I feel like I'm on vacation. I can play an import guitar at home. Let's see what Mexico has to offer.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? When are
Absolutely.
you going to try one again? I'd love to try a nice handmade acoustic.
Yeah. I'm going to be doing the same thing for two reasons. Number one, you're going to get a sound that is just that guitar sound, which I think is really cool. And that's one of the things that we all enjoy about the boutique gear that we talk about so much. And the second thing is I grew up in Southern California. I've been to Mexico a ton of times. I grew up in a neighborhood that you could hear the music at night, and there is just something really special about that kind of guitar sound. They don't sound like, it's not like Takamine. It doesn't sound the same at all, and so I really like that stuff, and so I would be thrilled to death to be able to play one of those.
Sounds like it's unanimous.
Yes. Well, Ricardo, I don't know if you were trying to stump us there. I hope we didn't let you down, but that was a great question, and raising a little bit of awareness there. That was kind of neato. So we need to thank a few people, and then we're going to let our friend William John Bennett III go.
You're right, Todd, because at this point of the show, there's a very special group of people that we love to thank. These are our executive producers, Jared.
Oh.
These are people that help make this podcast possible.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you might be asking yourself, what is an executive producer? But the question you really should be asking yourself is, how can I become an executive producer? Quite simple, folks. Go over to patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Check out a couple different levels in which you can participate and become a sponsor, a patron of this very podcast. Each level comes with a great bevy of gifts, thank you gifts, things like, T-shirts and stickers and pics and all the good stuff.
All the good stuff.
But as an executive producer, there's one thing more. Jared?
You get to have your name read on the thing, man.
Your name read on the thing. That's what I'm going to do right now. So sit back in your seats, buckle your seatbelts. Here we go. Tom Barazin, Darren Gregory, Doug Christ, Ken Sayers, Michael Senchuk, Stefan Lamb, Anthony Lathrop, John Anglin, John Esterly, Justin Jones, James White, Matt Hart, Bill Gola Guitars, Richard Kendall, John Jackson, Jason Rausch, Gary Cooper, Mark Cotton, Elad Mizrahi, Mike D, Trevor Gunberg, Rick Calhoun, Anthony Gemolero, John Helverson, Drew Lopez, and Vader and Pedals. What's that, Todd?
Yep.
We have a new one?
Yep.
Hot off the presses. This,
Well, kind of hot off of last episode's press.
off of last episode's press, Moon Guitars.
That's correct.
Welcome on board, Moon Guitars.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wait, Todd, there's more
Okay.
because we have another group. Mm-hmm. We call them our Grand Poobahs. These are executive producers plus.
Yes.
These executive producers have their own special penthouse suite in which they bathe in their individual hot tubs of some unknown orange liquid.
Yes.
The man.
Gatorade, possibly.
Possibly Gatorade.
Yeah.
We're not sure.
Orange Crush.
Could be rusty water.
Yeah. Fanta.
Ooh, Fanta.
Yeah.
Fanta.
Anyhow, they also have a fez to place upon their head.
That's correct.
And it's required while they listen to the podcast that they wear it. So I'm watching
Without getting
y'all.
it wet.
I'm watching all of you. You'd better have your fezzes on. So special thanks to these Grand Poobahs. Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, David Kaminga, Science of Sound. Cody Foster. Sean S. Tommy Manasco. Adam Johnson. Steve Keys. Tim Nowak. Tyler Rhines. James Pennington. Ellis J. Music Company. John Williams. Johnny Morales. Mel Sanders. Bob Crouch. Sam Jett. Michio Murakishi. Martin Cliff. Hex Matos. Michael Van Zant. Brian Robison. John Daly. Ricardo Igareda. Brandon Wound Pickups.
Yep.
And wait.
And Brandon Wound Pickups.
And Brandon Wound Pickups is new.
Yes, that's right. Thank you all so very much for supporting our show. It keeps our wheels going, and the moderate exhaust fumes kept to a bare minimum coming out the back end of our tank. So we need to thank give a great big thanks to William John Bennett III. No one's going to forget that name.
Not if I can do anything about it.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's been fun.
Good. And remind everybody where they can go see what you're doing.
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at William John Bennett III, and on YouTube at WJB3, the number 3.
There you go. Glad we got that sorted out. Tanya, what's going on?
Well, let's just say you need a special pickguard made for your special guitar.
Yep.
Go over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the wares that I have available. But by and large, what I do is custom work. So shoot me an email. Let me know what
Good enough for Joe Bonamassa.
Well, he has good, excellent taste, obviously. But shoot me an email. Let me know what you need, what you're thinking, and I will make you something that you're going to be so happy. You're going to squeal like a pig.
Yeah, you got all the fantastic materials over there, too. Ones that are very difficult to find online and stuff.
Sometimes.
I'll need a pick guard. Coming up.
All right. Jared, have you got your Instagram sorted out yet?
So you can get a hold of me through the Guitar Knobs stuff.
Yeah.
I love you.
All right. And you can send me an email, todd@theguitarknobs.com. You can also DM me on Instagram @guitarknobs. We'd love to hear what's going on with you. Send us your would you rathers. And we really appreciate you out there listening and supporting our show. And you know what? Just tell one friend. Tell one friend about us. Do that for us, will you? Also, you can check out my band's music, The Valentinos, on Spotify and iTunes and all that business. So go and give us a listen, okay? Have a fantastic guitar week, everybody, and subscribe!
Yeah. Is this better?
Yeah, it's much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll work.
It still
That'll work,
Yeah.
right?
I'm a train conductor on...
Oh, we should have had
Are
Esterly
you kidding
on.
me?
John Esterly from
you know-
Rare Buzz Effects.
He's a train guy.
He's a trained
Oh,
man.
yeah?
Yeah.
That's... I really wish he was sitting right there. He would have fell out of his chair. Like, what are the odds that we got 2 train conductors on? Yeah, there's some Canadian action for you there. You seem to be a halfway handsome chap, so that at least we're halfway handsome too. So
Perfect. We're
I'm
a
more
bunch of
3/4.
sixes just talking gear. It's good.
Yep.
I resemble that remark.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a lot of railroader people. Maintenance people that work on brakes.
And you met Jared.
You met Jared.
Yeah.
I just said that.
I just said that.
All right.
All right.
Here we go.
Yeah.
And then everyone I talked to, I was like, what do you do? Train conductor. Like, wow, that's my dream. And I was like, really? Like,
Well, they just want to blow the whistle, right?
yeah, it's true. I'm just outside Toronto, little Canada.
You're in Canada, eh?
Yes, sir.
All right.
You just went right for...
Yeah.
You didn't even get the lowest hanging fruit. You got the apples that are rotting on the ground right there.
Yeah.
Can I get some ketchup?
Where's your wife from?
Bellevue, Ohio.
And where do they have trains there?
A couple.
A couple of tracks.
So you get to know.
All right, bring it on.
Oh, that looks really. I'm actually on the site now.
Let me get a little bit of that.
How about this?
I think we need to write it on your shirt.
He's had 2 weeks off.
Not living here.
Yeah.
No way. Too many trains at night.
Too many trains.
If there are no trains, you don't hear a horn, and you live there, you don't know what the hell to think. You don't know what's going on.
Oh man, boy, do I sound like an idiot.
Oh,
I got smacked right there.
it's got geography,
Lovable dude.
Calories to live.
sustenance.
Yes, all of them.
Talk about some gear and
Are you out in a boot?
Jeez,
No,
get them all out. Come on.
I was out.
no.
Yeah,
This is really
Easy to understand. Yeah, I took the words right out of your mouth.
How often does a train go by?
Yeah.
So often you don't even notice.
I lost my train of thought.
I don't get paid enough for
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.